We have 3 journalists in this panel, and if you include me, that's 4.
I think you
so
still
we're
count
going to
it.
call, I guess, we'll take a spade and call it a bloody shovel at some point, as journalists want to do. My own very brief comments before we get on to our panelists would be that the authors are chickening out by putting Nehru on the cover. You should actually be putting Sonia Gandhi on the cover. So there's a certain lack of courage showing there. My second point, and both Arvind and Shekhar have heard this from me before, is that we seem to be in a Kipling kind of world where you have a set of people who spread myths, then you have another set of people who bust myths, and the twain never meet. And I wonder why we want to keep these in closed user groups. And why we don't get them together to see what emerges. And when I suggested this the last time, Arvind was, I think, quite negative on the idea, saying basically you didn't want to waste your time talking to, and you mentioned 1 or 2 names, which I won't do that, at the NCAR when I chaired a session where you spoke. You've forgotten.
No,
okay.
no.
Well, if you're not hostile to the idea, maybe it's a good thing to...
On that one, let me clarify actually that in fact we have tried, but we can't get them. I mean, I remember
this is what somebody said at coffee, that they would not come.
First conference I organized at Columbia, this was about 4 or 5 years ago, 2006. I kept writing to Jean Reyes, and he won't even reply. And again, on the last one also, we had invited Abhijit Sen. He
Wouldn't come.
Show. He accepted and didn't show. So
you have reached out and it hasn't worked.
We are certainly very keen to engage and speak to the other side, but generally
you're not having inclusive development basically.
And my third point, and I'm now being completely the devil's advocate because I'm almost entirely in sync with what you say in the book. But my comment would be that why don't we look at this from the perspective of the people whom I think you want to primarily address, which is the policymakers who buy the myths and then create policies on the basis of that, and you've listed some of those policies, and then attack them. Which is to say, how does a politician see it? And suppose I'm a politician, and I ask myself, how am I going to get votes, which is my primary concern, because that's what I'm in the game for. And the evidence demonstrates over and over again that votes come when I offer freebies. It's been demonstrated in state elections in different states. It's been demonstrated in national elections. So why would I give up my meal ticket program and by your esoteric logic about some long-term benefits to the economy? It doesn't make sense to me. So, you're failing to address that question as to why should I listen to what you're saying, which might explain why the myths continue to spread, because in my interest to spread it. The second is that there is a political machine down the line that feeds on the state or the memories of the welfare state in another context. And that machine needs to be fed, whether you like it or not. So what alternative means are you going to find to feed it? I think I have a last question which just slips my mind, but I wanted to ask it, and I'll come back to it when it comes back to my mind. But to me, these are fundamental questions that we have to address if we want to understand why the myths continue to persist, even if the economic logic and the facts and the data seem to point in another direction. So with those initial comments, we'll turn to our panel, and I'll start from my right and move leftwards. It's at the moment just about 8 or 9 minutes before 12. We have a session wind-up time of 12:30. So can I suggest 10 minutes for each panelist, extendable if you want to 12 minutes. So with 36 minutes, we will be on time, and if I can borrow 5 minutes from you, or 10 minutes maybe, if there are questions, we'll take those and then answer them right away, so that broadly we stay on course. So to begin with, James Lamont, who's from the Financial Times, has been here. He's a careful observer of the scene. And if you read his reports, they have all the hallmark of FT reporting, So without further ado, James.